Hi, and welcome to the full training video for the PourMyBeer's system. Here we're logged into the charger, and you can see every button that's available to the admin. I'm just going to run through each one of these buttons and what they do so that you have a full understanding of the system. First is our prepaid card. This allows you to create a card for a customer where they add money to the card. In the name box you'll type in the customer's name, and the validity period will be how long the card is active for before it pauses the check. Next is the number of patrons. Each patron is allowed a default of 2 drinks per, and you're allowed to add multiple patrons to one card. In general though, you're going to be using 1 patron per card, so we'll select that now. On this screen you can add how much money you want to apply to the card. Our system doesn't actually accept payments, so you'll enter in the amount here and make sure you charge the customer that through your point of sale. These buttons are cumulative, as you can see, or you can enter in a custom amount down here. Press the return key at the bottom right and it will ask you to scan a card. Once you scan a card, it will allow it to work for the customer. You'll notice now that once you remove the card, it'll say batch operation. For prepaid cards only, you're able to make many of the same card so that if you want to pass these cards out as people walk in the door, for example, that is possible. Once you've created the cards, you can either wait for the timer at the top to run out, or you can hit the back button to get back to the main menu. If at any time you're confused about a card, on the main login screen, you can scan your card and it will tell you what's on that card. As you can see, this card was created and has $7.99 on it. None of the pouring has gone through. It has 1 patron, the date and time it was created, and by who it was created. It also shows the expiration date. Alright, so that was enough for the prepaid card. Now we're going to move on to the bill pay card. Bill pay card is pretty much like an open tab, and it's going to allow the customer to pour beer and be charged at the end of the tab. You will notice when creating a bill pay card that there is no batch operation allowed, and that is because each bill pay card needs to be unique. Once the customer has finished drinking, they'll bring the card back to you and they'll need it closed out. That's done under the Balance Customer Card button, and we'll do that now. Place the card on the reader. This gives you a breakdown of what was poured. It'll show who activated it, who closed it, when the tab started, when the tab is ending, and it will also give you a breakdown of each product, how much it was poured, and finally the total amount to charge the customer. This is an empty card right now for test purposes, but we'll go ahead and balance and erase the card. Once the card's been balanced and erased, it's now an empty card and can be used for any other purpose. Now we'll move on to the Increase Card Value button. This button allows the prepaid card to have an increase in value. You go ahead and press the amount that you want to increase it by, press the return key at the bottom right, and scan the card. Now we'll see that our card has $8.99 on it. The next button in our list is Reactivate Card. Reactivate Card is important for 2 reasons. 1, the drink limit, and 2, the time limit. So you'll remember when we first activated a card, it asks you for the validity period. Once that validity period is reached, it will cut off and pause the tab. The value on the card will still be there, but the customer will have to come back to you and have the card reactivated. The other thing that the Reactivate Card button will do is allow the customer to continue drinking past the 2 drink limit. Every time you reactivate the card, it will reset that original patron limit selected when creating the card. And finally, under Customer Card Operations is the Open Tab button. This will give you a full breakdown of each card that's currently open in your system. As you can see, our test card is still here and open, but I have an old card that I was using for testing that has expired, and if I were to try to use it on the system, would tell me that I need to reactivate it. Now moving on to other card operations. Under these card operations, we are able to create new admin cards, new staff cards, new cleaning cards, change the card passwords, which is important when you receive new cards to your location, and erase cards. Now, word of warning for erase card, you should only ever use the erase card button for a card that was created on this level. Never use the erase card function for a customer level card. Always balance the customer card. An admin level card gives you this level of login, while a staff level card only gives you this level of login. You'll notice that the staff card only has the ability to open cards, close cards, increase the value, reactivate the cards, as well as see open tabs. They do not have the ability to create any more cards, and they also do not have the ability to close the software. Another word of warning, the cleaning card is an all-access pass to the system. You do not want to create this card and lose it. I recommend creating a cleaning card only when the system's being cleaned, and then erasing that card when the cleaner has left. And erase card will erase any card in the system, but again, please do not use that to erase a customer card. Select server is just that. It'll search the system for our server, and you have the ability to reconnect your charger to the server. Select printer. This is the area where you will select your printer. By default, the printer is already selected, so you shouldn't have to use this menu very often. Access web interface. We'll get to that last. Service functions. Close application will obviously close this application and take you back to the Windows desktop. Device status. This gives you some very basic details. You'll never use this. This is going to be more for technical support. Reset to factory defaults. It will ask you to confirm, and once you do, it will reset the settings of the software, taking you back to the configuration wizard. And finally, access web interface. This is the back end of the system. This is where you will do things like view current cards, block cards, view reporting section, edit your products, your product names, prices, descriptions, deeper server configuration, and client settings. Let's view current cards first. Current cards will show you by default the active customer cards in the system. If a card needs to be blocked, this is where you'll do it. You press the block button, it reloads the page, and it asks you to send the config update notification. Once you send this, the system will recognize that that is a blocked card. It's like your save button. If there's a card that you've blocked and you want to unblock it, you can go to the blocked cards menu at the top left and unblock the card. You also have the ability to forget this card. You should only ever use the forget card button if you know for a fact that that card has been destroyed. You also have the ability to block system access cards. So if you have a staff member leave and they take their card with them, you'll be able to block their card here. Don't forget, send update notification. Okay, that's it for current cards. We'll go ahead and go back to the main screen. Our reporting section. Under reporting, you can get a quick snapshot from a date range by selecting from the drop-down menus and pressing update. You can also go to sold versus dispensed. This will display information on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Dispensed is the amount of product that has actually been poured, while sold is the amount of money that's been sold on the system. The reason that these two are different is because you can have a prepaid card that has money on it, but that has not been poured yet. Total pours per brand money. This will show you in a daily, weekly, and monthly the amount of money that has been poured through the system per product. Total pours per brand servings. This will show you a daily, weekly, monthly amount of pour per product as a serving size. That's that patron limit. Each patron is allowed 2 servings. Total pours per brand volume. That will show you in a daily, weekly, monthly number of ounces per product that has gone through the system. Cleaning reports. Cleaning reports will show you the number of ounces that have gone through the system while using a cleaning card. This is helpful in tracking the potential for theft. Staff reports. Each staff card has the ability to pour beer so that you can give away taste tests, samples, and have a more interactive experience with your customer. This information will be shown as a global display for every staff card as a daily, weekly, and monthly value of ounces. You will notice The blue download button for each chart will allow you to download a CSV file of this information so that you can move it over to Excel and manipulate the data as you see fit. There's no way to manipulate the data in our software. It has to be exported. That's it for reporting. Let's go ahead and go back. Now we'll look at a product database. This is where you can add products, edit the prices, etc. What I like to do, scroll down to the bottom of the list, look at our last PLU number, remember it, so we're at number 6, and now we can add a new product. The PLU number needs to be a unique number from any product in the database, so to keep it organized, our next one would be 7. The name of the beer, the brewery, the style, and tasting notes. I like to jump out to Google and search the beer, find some commercial description, remove the formatting, so you copy and paste that. You remove the formatting by pressing this button, and then I generally like to make the font size 3 or 4 depending on how much text is in the window. Next, our volume unit is ounces. That does not need to be changed. Our volume unit decimal places is 1, also does not need to be changed. Our volume unit base unit divider is 1, also does not need to be changed. And our price per unit is the price per ounce. Make sure you do 0.25 for 25 cents, for example. Units per serving. That's the number of ounces. 16 ounces is your default, but if you have a higher alcohol beer, you're going to want to lower that down to stay within the law. Show ABV checkbox will allow you to either show that on the first screen of the product or not. You need to include a decimal place for that. Show ABV, you can either check or uncheck this box. If you have that information, go ahead and type it in there. Show IBU is the same. If you have a product image, you can press in here. I like to run out to Google and find a good quality thumbnail. Go ahead and select Use All Portions if you're using portions mode. If not, this section will not be included. Save New. You'll see here that the software was able to resize my image and it just gave us a little warning about that. That's not a problem. And everything else was successful. If there were an issue, you would have an error back at the last page and it would then tell you what it is. You'd have to remedy that. Once you've added a product, don't forget to do the send update notification or else your product will not be pushed to the screen. But before we do that, I'll show you the new product that I added. It's down here on the list. Once you have a very large database, you'll notice that the system slows down when pushing updates to the screens. So if you're not going to be pouring a beer, but you want to save it in the database, make sure you just press the Set as Inactive button. This will need to be done for every product that you plan on not using in the near future. That will speed up the download speeds to the screen. Getting into portions mode. Portions mode is generally used in California, and this is so that the system is not actually pouring as an ounce. It's pouring as a fraction of a glass. You can add portions here. You can edit portions here. My system has a small, a medium, and a large of 3 ounces, 8 ounces, and 16 ounces. I do not recommend using portions unless you legally have to. Our system is much more user-friendly when being used in ounces. The items menu will allow you to fine-tune each product portion price. Okay, that's it for the product database. Now we'll get into server configuration. Server configuration is where you can do things like change the admin password, change the type of currency symbol. You can change when a day ends. Generally 5 a.m. is our default. That's for reporting purposes. You can change the size the number of servings that you get per patron right here. You can activate tap time limitations so that your taps will only pour from a certain time to a certain time. Here you have the ability to create unlimited timed cards with a checkbox. We do not recommend using that. That will allow a card never to be disabled time limit wise. And then of course save changes at the bottom. If you've made any changes in this menu, you'll have to save changes. Client settings. This area is important if you're using PourMyBeer fobs that will give a keg alert to the screen when a keg is empty. That is, the keg alert is done under keg alert for fob stop. The tap numbers are important if you have advertising. You will need to make sure that your tap numbers line up with what you would like the customer to see. When changing a tap number, you have to save it here. When changing a keg alert, you press that. Tap mode. If your tap is going to be a portions mode, you select it from this drop-down menu. In the US, we only use standard, which will be by the ounce, or portions mode. By the glass is not used. And the number of items available. This will show you what products are available on that line and at what size and price. Once all of your changes have been made, don't forget to do the send update notification. Known client devices. This is more for back-end technical support. You should never have to do anything here. As well as firmware versions. This is going to be for tech support. You shouldn't really be in this menu. Alright, that's it for the entire system. I know it sounds like a lot, guys, but don't be afraid to play around with it. It's actually quite simple once you know what's going on. And if you have any questions, please leave that down in the comments section below. And remember, it's okay to be self-serving.